What's up, YouTube? Alright, just doing a little brainstorming. I got this beautiful little little cam lock. I'm a locksmith by trade. I do other stuff, general contracting, whatnot. But this is for something I just didn't end up needing it, or I ended up with a different lock or something. And I just love the way this looks. This is actually half of the seat post right here. I just cut that off. That ended up in the scrap pile. It's got some soft chrome on the side. And then everything up top is just part of the lock assembly. These guys are really nice locks, not to mention they're super secure. It's tough to pick these. It can be done. This is not a high security bike, but I just figured, hey man, why not use this thing? It's totally free, it looks great. I got 2 keys. So what I want to do is I would want to obviously weld that too, as you guys saw it, and I got a little dinky micro switch right here. Even if I couldn't use this one, I would still, you know, try and cram a little switch in here, just slightly offset like this. And then I would have the cam, if you can imagine this on the end of the lock, on, off, just bumping in to that little switch, just on, off, by moving it around. And that could be fairly easy done. It's just going to be a lot of fitting and, you know, cussing and that kind of stuff. I'm not about chrome, but at the same time, everything's all ready to go here. I'd like to see if I could just snipe that welder inside and just run a bead around this thing from the inside here and just keep it looking cool like that. I think that would be cool. Oh, here's my little chain breaker tools. I was having such a nightmare of a time on transmission part 1, breaking that link. I was like picking up, I don't know if you guys ever seen like chains fresh out of the bag, covered with grease, and I'm like, okay, was it this link, or this link, or this link? I said 5 from the left. Was I counting from the first pin, or the first open hole, or what's going on? Yeah, you know, every link looked exactly the same. Try and find the right one, bring it over to the bench, and then take it. I actually ended up just having my brother just take some bolt cutters and just cut it right behind the one I wanted, because I just got so frustrated with it. So I lost 1 link, but, you know, in 6 feet of chain, I'm sure I've got enough, especially if I get in the torque reverter I want. Now, that's part 2. Oh, yeah, as you guys can see, I'm stripping the paint off right here. The question, I'm sure some of you asking, is why not just paint over it? Well, first of all, it had some kind of weird, like, I don't even know the term, like some laminate on top of it. It literally had plastic, and I just thought that I was never going to get it to adhere correctly to that. So I stripped it all off. I'm in the process right here, and the bike frame is pretty much naked. I got a couple more spots to do. What I have noticed is that paint thinner is not removing this, but it's actually softening it up. And this is tough paint. I'm sure this was powder coated or something. I'm not about the orange color. What I really want is I want a matte black. I want something matte black. And, oh yeah, this little design my brother made right here. I think this looks kind of cool. I don't know if I'd want it quite so pronounced. This is just, you know, like rough sketch or whatever. This is going to get all primered over and redone and everything. The wheel got super welded, and more why about that in a second here, but super heavy-duty weld. If this thing held up at 30 miles an hour with 4 little welds, we're good to go there. It looks ugly as heck, but I don't care. A little bit of Bondo around there, a little bit of primer, and should fill in the nooks and crannies and whatnot. It's going to get hidden by this thing pretty well, but it's more about performance. You guys, I think you guys get the idea that it's more about performance than looks at this point, and just what this bike is. For the record, I'm about 290 into this right now, just little screws and, you know, engine bolts and that kind of stuff, and fuel line and everything. Oh, it totally cracked me up. This is why my garage just sucks. I went hunting around for 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch inside diameter fuel line to get this guy going, and lo and behold, it's like 5 feet away from me. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so I'm kind of half cleaning this place up, but I just find that hilarious. I went to 3 places, called around, couldn't find it, and it's like 5 feet away from me, brand new in box from like 10 years ago, whatever. So, as you guys can see, the bike is getting stripped down. I've decided to scrap the idea for messing around with a jack shaft. Messing around with that, well, at least a traditional jack shaft. You guys remember from last video, I don't know if anybody's actually paying attention to these things, I was going to do a 12 to like a 50, 12 to a 20 or something like that, and then on the other side of that would be a 12 going to, of course, the 72 right there, which would have put me somewhere like, I don't know, my goal was like 8.5 to 1. I heard that was, I was doing the math and just kind of figuring it out. Nobody's got a giant tire like this. Mini bikes don't really have these things, so I'm kind of figuring it out as I'm going along here. So I think I've scrapped that, and I think I'm going to go with the CVT torque converter. Now, as far as I know, true torque converter is in a band, expanding, contracting band pulley system. They've just started doing these on consumer cars, as far as I know. They've just been doing this the last 5 years. It's really an amazing thing. If you guys get a chance, please please Google that, how it works. It's really an amazing device. Like I said, they're just putting them on cars, but they've been on mini bikes and go-karts for some time now. And that really just seems like the way to do it. It's something like a 1 to 2.7 when it starts, and that it ends up actually having an overdrive. So it would go from 1 to 2. It would be 1 semicolon 2.7, and then change over to something like 1 to 0.78, something like this. So basically, it would have an overdrive. Now, if you guys at home remember, I'm running a 12 to 72 right now. So what I'd put on the other end of the torque converter would also be a 12. But the important thing is that by the time I'm done, I would have a starting gear ratio of something really muscly, like 11 to 1, something for great torque, great takeoff torque. Now, if I had that in gear form, if I had that with sprockets, I would max out at 20, 25 miles an hour if I'm doing the math on this one right. The engine would be overworking, and I would have tons of power, but I would not have top speed. And I don't like the idea of changing around a transmission just so I can, go on private track and do 50 miles an hour or whatever. But the beauty of this torque converter is if it's truly going to a 1 to 0.78 ratio, I'm still retaining that 6 to 1. In fact, I'm getting greater. I'm getting like, 5, I'm getting 5.5, 5 3/4 to 1. Now that translates, as long as I have enough muscle in that 6 horsepower Tecumseh, that translates to around 55 miles an hour. That's only working if that engine does its job, does that 6 horsepower job. The more I'm playing with this engine, the more I don't like it. But you know what? That's why I didn't weld anything. That's why it's just a bolt pattern, and that's the way to go about it. I'm really happy about that. And you know what? I'll ride around till the engine explodes, or until I get tired of it. And I might do something crazy or funky, like try and do some kind of air ram system to pack more cc's into this, to pack more air into there. Or do something really stupid, like put a NOS fogger system or something from something else or whatever on there. Or, crazy high-test gas. It doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, kablooey. I'll just replace the engine, whatever. I'm totally not opposed to chopping. I really don't want to, but I'm not ultimately opposed to reforming the frame and all that. You guys notice I have a big gap right here. I've got a lot of room to play with. So, if somebody says, if I'm on Craigslist one day and I see, an 8 horsepower Briggs & Stratton or something like that, or some kind of crazy little V-twin, or I don't even know what I'd find. But if I found something for just like an amazing deal and I'm like, oh crap, gotta have that, run down there with $50 and just buy it, and then I'll figure it out from there. You can always drill holes, can always even weld up holes. If you guys notice, I got a couple of weld burns on here, and that's just because I just have been just double reinforcing everything. Everything's getting double welded over just to add some more strength to it, because if I put this torque converter, if I put this centrifugal, if I lose the centrifugal clutch and I go with this thing, I'm going to have a lot more torque on here, and obviously I want this to accommodate. In the meantime, I'm just stripping it down and taking the paint off, and I'm sure everybody's watching this is like, why aren't you just painting over it? Why are you doing this hard way? Well, here's the thing, is it had laminate on it. It had this plastic laminate, and it was flaking and peeling. It had a lot of stickers that were flaking and peeling too. This is really, really tough. The plastic crap is pretty tough too. My paint stripping device, and I just got like a wire brush here, is not liking that. It's going super slow. At the same time, I'm sure this thing was powder coated or something, because the paint really doesn't want to go. Paint thinner is helping out a little bit. I would run to the store and get paint stripper or something really powerful, but You know, I'm just like 90% through this anyway. It's all going to be matte black. It's all going to be matte black. And it's just a cool little design. You know, my brother did that. I like that. I think I'm going to keep that. He just did a rough sketch, but I like the idea. You know, I'm going to go primer over everything. I don't know if I mentioned this previous in the video. This got double welded over just to prepare for the new CVT, for that new torque. Because I'm going to really get really wrenching on this thing. Just some fast takeoffs. I don't know if you guys saw me climbing. I got another video where I'm just climbing a driveway, but I want to be able to do, you know, way steeper than that. The driveway from my apartment even is just really steep, and I want to be able, you know, to not be streetable. Streetable is the term I'm looking for. When I say streetable, I mean something. How do I define this? Something that I'm not going to have to worry about. I'm driving this instead of, you know, my Honda Accord. You know, my Honda Accord can handle it. I want this too. I don't expect to, you know, be able to actually carry stuff around more than groceries, but I want to be able to run, you know, over to the grocery store or whatever like that, run errands, or even just drive down to Venice Beach in this thing. You know, just go. PCH might be a little aggressive for this one, but I want to be able to, you know, do most everything that the car would do with this. Obviously, keep in mind that I'm, you know, got some mileage restrictions on this, but I want to be able to, you know, I got like a hill or something, I want to be able to just, yeah, up the throttle and just go up it without hesitating, without worrying about, you know, the thing dying up the side of the hill. And that's where the torque converter is going to come in handy. Once again, if you guys are just, you know, motor junkies and gearheads like me, you know, Google it. If you've never heard of this thing before, I find that kind of rare, but it's really an ingenious design. It's just a series of expanding and contracting pulleys, you know, like a drill press. It's amazing stuff. That's about all for now. I'm running out of video on this thing. It's about 2 a.m. here. Gas tank is going to show up real soon. I don't know which size I want. I've seen people with like really giant gallon gas tanks on these things, and they look cool, but just by the way I've got the frame set up here, I don't know if I've got enough room for that. I want to get the biggest gas tank I can, but it still accommodates this area, because I think it'd look really weird, especially at this angle. If it jumps from here to here, I'd have this big gap. Who knows? I'm going to see if they got somebody in LA that wouldn't mind me like resting the thing on top of the bike frame just to take a look at it or something. That's about it. Just some thoughts. I've seen these little Schwinn bike calculator, bike computer things. I just thought those were really cool. And if you guys haven't seen those things, it does miles per hour, trip distance, whatever, temperature. Kind of a nice gadget to have. Ultimately, I'd want to mount a GPS unit to this. Not any GPS, but I got a Garmin Nuvi that I like a lot, and it just stays in my car all the time. But I would want to put it some way on this bike right here. Down the line, some kind of headlights, something like this. Definitely brake lights. This is not hard at all to do, because if somebody just has an LED light, LEDs are super bright. They last forever. I've never seen an LED burn out, and they use so little electricity. So why not just get an LED setup and just hide a battery pack somewhere in here, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then, you know, just a little contact switch right behind the brake, like that little micro switch. Just hide something like this guy right behind the lever itself, so whenever you even touch the lever, you make contact or something like this. There's 101 ways to do it. So, you know, if somebody knows I'm slowing down or something. Down the line, maybe headlights. I don't know about that, though. I'm going to need a bigger battery pack. I might have to look into rechargeable batteries for that one. Somebody, you know, said, oh, well, you know, just do a bike generator. Well, here's the problem with bike generators. They only move when the wheel's moving. So, you know, I'm stopped at a stoplight and all of a sudden the light disappears. I don't like that. Other than that, it's coming together. That torque converter is really going to make this thing shine. That's really going to make it more streetable. That's about it for now. Really happy with that one. Just love the attention I'm getting on YouTube on this thing. I didn't expect this many hits. This is almost just for my own purposes. Alright, YouTube, have a good one.